This is Joy News Prime with me, Carlos Caloni. Coming up, Finance Minister announced 220 million cedis to deliver relief items to victims of the Akosombo Dam spillage in 2024 budget as a tout government effort at dealing with the country's economic challenges.
Has budgeted an amount of 220 million to support the relief phase for the communities affected by the Akosombo spillage.
But the minority are not impressed, describing the budget as empty.
This government is leaving behind a budget that is debt-riddled. It's leaving behind an economy that is overtaxed. You are leaving behind an economy that is seeing hyperinflation.
Arrested and cautioned. We'll tell you about how some unemployed Tollbooth workers who picked camp at Road Ministry to push for the employment spent days in prison.
I prefer to sleep here than getting to the house because the pressure is too much on me. Now we don't have any respect in our families.
And Ghana's woodworkers are battling a range of health problems caused by a silent killer, wood dust. We have a special feature for you.
Then you have the very fine, smallest particles that go deep down.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Joy News Prime. Now, government has allocated 220 million cedis to deal with the floods caused by the spillage of the Akosombo Dam. MPs in the Volta region, led by North Tongue MP Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, have demanded a resettlement and compensation package for victims. However, this 220 million announced in the 2024 budget is mainly for relief packages. Now, the minister also detailed that the government is doing to ameliorate the sufferings of Ghanaians. Now, Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante has more in the following report.
So that is how both sides of the House jeered and cheered when Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta concluded the 2024 budget. The minority clearly not enthused with the measures outlined by government to deal with the economic slump, whilst the majority believe this is the stage, this is where things begin to turn around. The Finance Minister says Ghana's economy will now be valued at $1 trillion from the $219.5 billion they recorded in 2017.
The 2024 budget is even more significant because we crossed, Mr. Speaker, the 1 trillion gross domestic product mark for the first time in our economic history. Let me repeat, Mr. Speaker, Ghana's economy under President Akufo-Addo in 2024, final year in office, is projected to be valued over 1 trillion Ghana cedis in 2024 from the 219.
But more importantly, one of the key issues this government has introduced in this 2024 budget is that 220 million is now budgeted for the communities that were affected by the Akosombo Dam spillage.
Government has budgeted an amount of 220 million to support the relief phase for the communities affected by the Akosombo spillage, as well as floods upstream in the Oti, Savannah, and Bono East regions.
But one thing that stood out also is that Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta told Parliament that this government has created 2.3 million jobs.
Invested 541 million in 169 IDF, 1D1F enterprises to scale up value addition and provided 140,000 additional jobs. And we have created, Mr. Speaker, over 2.3 million jobs in the private sector and public sector. Approximately 900,000 in the private sector and 1.4 million in the public sector.
But in terms of the numbers in this budget, one of the key things is that government expects to raise 176.4 billion Ghana cedis in revenue in 2024, and it is projecting that it will spend 226.7 billion. That is about 50 billion in terms of the deficit, but government will be seeking to claw some back in terms of the revenue mobilization. The La General Hospital also came up.
Mr. Speaker, total revenue and grants is projected at 176.4 billion Ghana cedis, 16.8% of GDP as we move towards our 18% target. And this is underpinned by permanent revenue measures, largely tax revenue measures amounting to 0.9% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, total expenditure is projected at 226.7 billion, 21.6% of GDP.
The 2024 budget is now set to be debated from next week Monday when Parliament concludes work on the post-budget workshop. But there were no mention of new taxes. When this budget was about to be presented, we heard a lot of things about new taxes set to be introduced. But the finance minister has not announced any. In the coming days, we will see if there will be bills that will come to Parliament by way of taxes. We'll be looking forward to seeing that. But also, there have been no blanket removal of taxes. Government, of course, has committed to zero VAT rates on sanitary pads that will be imported and actually manufactured locally. And MPs are now set to debate it from Monday, and the Speaker says it will be a showdown. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
But the minority say they are completely unimpressed by the budget, describing it as empty and a killer budget. Dr. Kishel Atuforsen is minority leader.
Mr. Speaker, this government is leaving behind a budget that is debt-riddled. It's leaving behind an economy that is overtaxed. You are leaving behind an economy that is seeing hyperinflation. You are leaving behind an economy that is seeing high food inflation. And you are leaving behind an economy that is seeing high monetary policy rate. As if that is not enough, Mr. Speaker, this government is leaving behind an economy with high lending rate. You are again leaving behind an economy with high unemployment rate. Mr. Speaker, as if again that is not enough, you are leaving behind a misery index that has never been witnessed in this Fourth Republic. In fact, you are leaving behind a misery economy. In other words, a witchery economy. Mr. Speaker, to conclude on this matter, let me say that they are also leaving behind an economy where we are seeing massive and uncontrolled corruption according to the country's Vision Conference. Mr. Speaker, this is the scorecard of this government. This is the legacy they are leaving behind. And so most importantly, I'm not surprised that today, you are here reading the budget alone. Where is the governor of the Bank of Ghana? Nowhere. Where is the vice president? Nowhere. But let me say, they cannot abandon you. You did this with them. And so they are the faces of destruction, and you are part of it. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Mr. Minister. Bye-bye, MPP. Then this is your scorecard. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
But even before the debate will start next week, Monday, the majority say they will expose the NDC's poor record on the economy. Alexander Afenyo-Markin is Deputy Majority Leader.
The figures cannot be toyed with. Dr. Atuforsen, let me remind you that your government could not implement a single landing beach project. You came into this house with a law. You chickened out and you came to cap it. This government has successfully heard the cries of the fishermen, and we have constructed 12 landing beach sites. You come from the central region. You've not been able to do that for the people of central region. And you are telling him that he has underperformed. Hey, at all. Hey, Dr. Forsen. Hey, at all. Are you saying that you as a Deputy Finance Minister, you did better than Kenoforiata? Is that what you are saying? Mr. Speaker, it's the same NDC with its old men. They have no more card to play. They played their only joker on the scorecard. And today, you tell us that this economy is in its worst state. It was worse with all that we've experienced under COVID, with all that we've experienced on the global space, we have managed to keep the light on. We inherited doom so under you. We inherited a situation where children could not go to secondary schools. And Mr. Speaker, we are ready for you today, tomorrow, any other day. Mr. Speaker, I thank you so much.
Now, the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, has declared Ghana's economy has turned the corner. Now, he announced a raft of tax reliefs in 2024 budget, including scrapping of taxes on locally produced sanitary pads and exemptions for medical consumables. This, according to the Finance Minister, is part of a broader tax review regime aimed at giving some relief to the private sector in the medium to long term. Now, delivering the 2024 fiscal year budget statement to Parliament a while ago, the Finance Minister announced a zero tax rate on other products, including local fabrics, imported electric vehicles, and locally assembled vehicles and agric machineries.
Mr. Speaker, tax reliefs. Our approach to tax policy since 2017 was to give significant relief to the private sector until expenditure pressures from 2020 required a more aggressive approach. It is important to note that in the short term, fiscal sustainability requires that we improve our tax ratios significantly, otherwise our long-term competitiveness will be eroded. As we all know, our country's 13% tax to GDP ratio is far below our peers. Our target is 18 to 20%, and we are on course for 16%, hoping to be achieved this year. In that regard, it is difficult to implement all the structural reforms and tax reliefs needed to immediately lower and or eliminate certain tax handles. However, I assure this august House that we have heard, we believe in lower taxes as a government for industry, and we are working at this aggressively with the GRA and to be cemented with the Standing Committee of the Mutual Prosperity Dialogue. Mr. Speaker, further to the above, the following reliefs have been prioritized for implementation. To extend, Mr. Speaker, the zero rate of VAT on locally manufactured African prints for 2 more years. Mr. Speaker, to waive import duties on import of electric vehicles for public transportation for a period of 8 years. Mr. Speaker, to waive import duties on semi-knocked down and completely knocked down electric vehicles imported by registered EV assembly companies in Ghana for a period of 8 years. Mr. Speaker, to extend zero rate of VAT on locally assembled vehicles for 2 more years. Mr. Speaker, to zero rate VAT on locally produced sanitary pads. Mr. Speaker, to grant import duty waivers for raw materials for the local manufacture of sanitary pads. Mr. Speaker, to grant exemptions on the importation of agricultural machinery equipment and inputs and medical consumables, raw materials for the pharmaceutical industry. Mr. Speaker, a VAT flat rate of 5% to replace the 15% standard VAT rate on all commercial properties will be introduced to simplify administration. To address the negative externalities of plastic waste and pollution, government will review and expand the environmental excise duty to cover plastic packaging and industrial and vehicle emissions. Mr. Speaker, the Stamp Duty Act 2005, Act 689, has not been reviewed since an enactment in 2005. To realign the rate with current economic realities, government in 2024 will review the rates and fees for stamp duties. The bands subject to ad valorem taxes will be expanded, while the specific rates will be reviewed. Mr. Speaker, a simplified tax return will be introduced as a means of promoting voluntary compliance as part of the modified taxation scheme for individuals in the informal sector. This approach will make it easier for taxpayers to fulfill their tax obligations to the state.
Now, highlighting the performance of the economy in the 2023 fiscal year, the Finance Minister said the cedi as at November 2023 has been stabilized after a 6.3% depreciation in the 8th month.
The cedi has stabilized against the US dollar since early 2023. With a year-to-date, Mr. Speaker, a year-to-date cumulative depreciation of 25% compared to 54% in 2022. Specifically, Mr. Speaker, the cedi has only depreciated by 6.4% on cumulative basis since February 2023, compared to, Mr. Speaker, 53.9% over the same period in 2022. The stability of the cedi largely reflects the positive impact from the restoration of economic activity, including robust economic growth, improvement in the current account position, improvement in forex liquidity following the IMF ECF inflows, Bank of Ghana's domestic gold purchase program, reduced speculative forex demand as market confidence rebounds.
Now, in his projection for 2024, government has announced a 176 billion cedis revenue target against a 226 billion cedis expenditure.
Total revenue and grants is projected at 176.4 billion Ghana cedis, 16.8% of GDP, as we move towards our 18% target. And this is underpinned by permanent revenue measures, largely tax revenue measures amounting to 0.9% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, total expenditure is projected at 226.7 billion, 21.6% of GDP. This projection reflects a reduction of 6.1 percentage points of GDP in total expenditure commitment basis compared to the outturn in 2022. This large decrease comes from the combination of fiscal consolidation efforts of 4.9 percentage points of GDP, reflecting an adjustment in revenue by 1.1 percentage point and primary expenditure by 3.9 percentage points of GDP.
Now, 10 things you should know about the 2024 budget. I have been joined by our Joy News researcher and data analyst, Isaac Kofi J, to give us a power summary of the 2024 budget. So tell us, what are the 10 key takeaways from this particular 2024 budget?
Well, so I think let's start from the La General Hospital, where the people of La should be happy at the moment because they have been included in the budget. Government is saying that the financing will come from the national budget. And then also the contractor is supposed to resume work by next week. Not even by next week. You use the word next week.
Next week.
And let's look at the second item, which is the sanitary pad tax. We are going to have a 0% rate and import duty waivers for raw materials of the locally manufactured sanitary pads will be implemented. So it simply tells you that things that we import locally from outside to actually work on sanitary pads materials will enjoy some 0% VAT.
Okay.
It's also positive news because we've been talking about this. Third one, we've covered this story extensively. So
exactly.
I'm sure probably you'll be happy that the people
so happy
finally
that they finally are getting something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They've quoted this amount, 220 million Ghana cedis, in the form of relief that government's going to give to the people of that were the communities affected by the floods. The fourth one is those in the fine print industry, which is the African print industry. Local things that we wear, we love to wear them on Fridays and other special occasions, and even regular days right now. They are also going to enjoy the 0% VAT rate. The extension is for 2 additional years, and there's some positive news there. Fifth one is the night economy boost. Remember the former President Mahama spoke about 24-hour economy?
Exactly.
Now we are going to have a night economy, which is supposed to improve the public-private sector partnership and then also boost the economy in 2024. The sixth one is DDEP, Domestic Debt Exchange Program.
Okay.
The finance minister says it is concluded. Concluded. Now, the only thing we are working on and waiting for is external debt restructuring. We have concluded the DDEP. Seventh is the external sector outlook. And this is very important because this is where most of the shocks and how the economy will fare in 2024 will come from. Government is saying the external sector hinges on negotiations with external creditors. An IMF-supported program, cocoa syndicated loan, continuation of gold for oil program, mining inflows, and second tranche of the IMF deal. So it tells you that these are some of the sources that we are going to use to show up the budget, make the CD stable, and all of those things in 2024.
All right.
And it's currently actually hinged on negotiations that we're actually having with our external credit. Let's look at the eighth one, which is the financial sector support. So we've been talking about NIB and other financial institutions in distress. Government saying they're going to provide 4 billion to address the challenge. The ninth one is on the international, funding support, where we're anticipating the reflection. So we're actually expecting $2 billion, and that $2 billion comprised of the amount, the second tranche, and other funding we're expecting from the IMF and the World Bank cocoa syndicated loan.
Okay.
By the end of the year,
which is 2024.
This year actually,
okay.
We should be expecting some, some $2 billion to hit our accounts, and the last one is expenditure surge. Now you heard the finance minister say we've reduced the deficit, but if you look at the total expenditure in 2024, it has actually gone up by. So we are going to spend an additional amount of $21.4 billion in 2024. So these are 10 takeaways from the budget. I'm sure other things may strike other people. But these are top 10 takeaways.
Thank you so much. Kofi J is with our research team here. We're also working the lines to get some economists to speak to this budget so they can give us some details with what we should expect come 2024. But moving on, some Tollbooth workers who picket the road ministry to push for their employment were arrested by the police and cautioned. This was because the police said they did not have the permit for their action. You'll recall 2 years ago, they all lost their jobs when the finance minister announced the abolition of road tolls. Now, the government promised to reassign them, but till today, many of them remain jobless. On the second anniversary of their dismissal, the Tollbooth workers, many with physical disabilities, passed the night at the ministry, fighting off mosquitoes. Evelyn Gadri and Mohammed Ramat Rashad told Joy News Features news editor Jojo Kobna that they would rather die in front of the road ministry than idle at home.
We can't go home. Some of our members are dead. We came in the morning, but we've not met the minister. So we are waiting until he comes and then does the needful.
I prefer to sleep here than get into the house. Because the pressure is too much on me, my children and the family members. And we don't have any respect in our families because of the work that they took from us.
We've been coming here and the minister told us that they will pay us until they reassign us. Later, he said this thing financial loss to the state. And we said, you said this in the public. And we've been here several, we've had interactions with you. You told us that you will pay us. Now you've changed your mind, you said it's a financial loss to the state. We'll not understand.
They are sacking us, they say we should go. And we say we will not go. They will sleep here until we will get the good news from them.
The ministry doesn't want to help with the work. Most of us, we've acquired skills, and they told us that they will pay us until they reassign us. That payment, they can establish the persons living with disability who have skills among us. So we want them to establish us. The job, if it comes and we'll get the chance to work there, we don't have problem. But for now, what we are asking is for they should give us the arrears so that we'll go and establish ourselves and stop coming here.
It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy for me. For me, Paddy, it's not easy for me. For me, Paddy, it's not easy for me, cry.
Well, Joy News understands they were picked up by the police and cautioned to continue their action only when they have permit. Now, We have been joined by Evelyn Gadri. So, Evelyn, your quest to demand employment led you to being arrested. What's your next line of action now?
The minister said to we went to the police station. Yeah. Hello. Hello, please, can you?
Yeah, proceed.
Hello.
Evelyn, we can hear you, so go ahead.
So tomorrow morning we'll go back to the ministries, and then the minister said he will meet us. So tomorrow morning we'll go there.
All right. So have you also heard anything about your, reassignment as you were promised in the past? Is that the reason why you're going to meet the minister?
No, we've not heard anything. So tomorrow morning, 5 of us are going to the minister. The executive members, we have 5. We'll go and meet the minister tomorrow morning. So after that, we'll know what to do.
I believe you are taking this action on behalf of your members. Can you tell us across the country the total number of these Tollbooth workers who are actually not working in their home?
Yes, we are about 381. Yeah, 381. 88, yeah, 388. 8, yeah.
So how many of you went to picket the ministry, if you recall?
It's not a picketing, but the minister said anytime we can come there for we the PWDs.
Okay.
So yesterday we went there to find out how far is our arrest. Yes, because he said he's going to pay us until reassignment. So yesterday we went there till today, but unfortunately this morning they didn't let us enter the ministries. So they even beat us. Yeah, I can say that because they assault us with their gates. That that gate, the entrance where the car pass.
Who assaulted you?
Especially me, because my people were behind me. So they said they won't. You said the security men over there. The security men, they were 8, but only 4 security men. They didn't allow us to enter. So we perched at one corner. So as soon as we saw that V8 cars, they were entering, then we followed the car. And they locked me with their gates. Seriously, I can't move. They locked me with their gates. I cannot even move. So they hit my head with the gates. As I'm talking, I'm feeling very, very bad pains. I cannot even do anything. But I'll manage. But tomorrow, when you get to the minister, we'll say everything that we just do this.
So clearly, what are your demands? Can you list them for us to understand clearly? If you meet the minister tomorrow, what demands are you going to make?
We need our arrest because we know that the toll. We don't know when the toll is coming. The money is today. Friday is 2 years since the toll was closed. So we want our money to find something to do to cater for ourselves and our children. We have children to cater for, and now we are in very big pain. Some of our members has committed suicide because of this incidents which happened. Yeah.
So do we know how much government
Even
actually owes?
Me, I tried to do it. I tried.
So
yes, even our salary every month is 700. So it is 16,800. Yeah. 16,800. 700 times 24. 700 times 24. It will be 16,800.
Okay, so these are your demands. You're appealing to the government to pay this money to you, and you are making the claim also that some of your members have actually committed suicide as a result of sitting at home. And so when you meet the minister tomorrow, these are some of the demands you're going to put forward. And so we'll be following up on this particular story. Thank you so much for talking to us here on Joy News. We are so grateful for your time. All right, moving on. Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono has described the administration of Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufo-Dampare, as extremely inspirational. According to her, he has not only transformed the police service, but also rebranded it positively to the admiration of other public institutions, including the judiciary. Now, she is therefore urging the IGP, Dr. George Akufo-Dampare, and his team to continue with the good work in keeping Ghana safe while assuring the judiciary support to ensure law and order in the country. There's more in this report by my colleague Samuel Mbura. So we'll bring this story to you soon after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. Now, President Akufo-Addo has described former President John Mahama's quest to return to power as deceitful. He says it is impossible for John Mahama to assume a new leadership posture when voted as president in December 2024. And Akufo-Addo believes voting for the former president will further stifle development in the country. He spoke at the inauguration of a library named after him in the Bantama constituency. My colleague Nana Yaojima has more in the following report.
According to the president, the government of the National Democratic Congress under John Mahama failed to deliver on its mandate. He believes there is no evidence that the former president will do better when voted again. Nana Akufo-Addo therefore cautions the electorate against falling for what he terms as deceptions.
We are going to the polls again. The one who couldn't perform has returned as a changed person seeking for votes. How do you do that? You have given the mandate, but you couldn't perform. How do you return claiming you have changed? You haven't. You are only trying to deceive us. Will you agree to vote for him? We won't do that.
The president wants the electorate to eschew tribal and religious differences and vote Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia for his competence. He also campaigned for a second term for the Bantama MP, Francis Asenso-Boakye.
The vice president, Mahmoud Bawumia, MPP for Ashade Bionyam, Apejano.
The NPP have elevated Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to take my place as flag bearer. I'm pleading with everyone not to disturb the party. In this country, we don't care about your tribe or religion. All that matters to us is an individual competence, truthfulness and hard work. Those are the factors we consider to vote. Also, it will hurt me for the Bantama constituency to throw Asenso out of parliament.
The MP constructed the community library and technology hub for the Bantama community. The facility, named after Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is expected to help improve literacy and ICT knowledge among children. Asenso-Boakye is Bantama MP.
We have to help the young ones get equal opportunities with others so they can compete globally. That's why I've decided to help every community get a library and technology hub.
Making sure say community bia community library and technology hub.
For Joy News, Nana Ochima, Kumasi.
Now, Ghana's woodworkers are battling a range of health problems caused by a silent killer, wood dust. Environmental scientists are calling on company owners and woodworkers themselves to understand the risks they face and put in place measures to protect them. Now, they say protective equipment and workplace safety and training are crucial to prevent a growing problem of acute and chronic lung disease in woodworkers. Monalisa Frimpong explores.
53-year-old George Boatin has been a carpenter for more than 25 years. He says his hands are the most important part of his body. They are his tool to get the job done every day, and he is extremely careful to protect them.
Another machine, we mistake here. My crab I say or yeah, not now. So the commission also we more now commission.
But hands aren't the only part of his body at risk as a carpenter. Exposure to dust and chemicals in the course of everyday work can damage an even more critical part of a carpenter's body, the respiratory organs. That's according to the head of the respiratory unit at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital in the Ashanti region, Dr. Divine Amenuke.
The fine sawdust have got different sizes in terms of the type of food that is used, whether it's hard or soft. And with those ones, the relatively bigger ones tend to settle more in the mouth and nose area to the throat. Then we have other ones that go a bit deeper down into the upper part of the chest. And then you have the very fine, smallest particles that go deep down into the deep aspects of the smallest parts of the tubes that send air from your nostrils deep down into your lungs.
Wood dust is an unavoidable byproduct of most joinery or carpentry tasks. At George's workshop at Fumesa in the southern Ghanaian city of Kumasi, dust flies every time workers cut, drill, plane or sand a piece of timber. Workers and their bosses know the hazards. Wood dust was first labeled as a hazardous substance by the Control of Substances Hazardous to Health Act passed in 2002. The law required workers to protect themselves by wearing gears to cover their eyes, nose and mouth. But workers like George say the gear makes it hard to breathe. Though he has asthma that requires medication and regular trips to hospital, he's still not willing to wear the mask.
So, the also can start here and wash your nose mask. So, to wear man can problem be a bit. Because we went to only use nose mask, but now how?
We travel to the town of Sokoban on the outskirts of Kumasi to the biggest woodworking center in West Africa, the Sokoban Wood Village. 20,000 workers cut, shape and treat wood here. The village is divided into the lumber sellers and artisan section. The artisans sand and drill all day, every day, producing a mountain of dust.
Behind me are fine sawdust particles on the ground. Fortunately, I am protected because I am wearing a mask. But for the furniture workers here, these woodworkers, they stand a risk of having so many infections as a result of their failing to wear protective gears like the nose mask.
Sokoban Wood Village is no different from George Boatin's carpentry shop at Fumesa. A walk through the artisan section finds only a few are wearing masks. 47-year-old Akwesi Ernest is one of them. Respiratory health is of little concern to Akwesi. This is despite the fact that 20 years working here have begun to take a toll. Akwesi is not the only one here experiencing the health impacts of inhaling wood dust. Kwekuamwa also works without any protective gear. He complains of eye irritations and headaches. Akwesi and Kweku don't visit health facilities but rely on over-the-counter drugs to treat their symptoms. Akwesi says a number of his colleagues have fallen out of the job due to the inability to stand the air quality at the artisanal section. But still, they don't see a major health threat and refuse to wear the masks that will protect them.
One thing is that, the cartel here, and soon become a mountain and a dark and which I see Anna, and so they're going, and a man and a pressure. Oh, yeah, no, we now say, I say, the amount of them now, dear man.
Wood dust inhalation or exposure can cause a range of health symptoms ranging from subtle to severe. These include irritation to the eyes, nose and throat, asthma, and in rare cases, cancer. The Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital regularly treats woodworkers with asthma that they say is triggered by wood dust. Other woodworkers coming with coughs that could be the start of illness. In one case, a woodworker was diagnosed with nasal cancer, which could also have been caused by the dust. Dr. Divine Amenuke says all these symptoms may be closely linked to the inhalation of fine wood dust particles that can penetrate the lungs. The smallest particles can even enter the bloodstream, where they cause heart problems and exacerbate diseases like diabetes. There are steps workers must take to protect themselves, says Dr. Amenuke.
With COVID, at least we know surgical masks and we know something like N95. So the surgical mask's ability to filter is less compared to N95, which has smaller pores. So that would give you a higher level of protection in terms of the amount of the dust that goes into your system. There are other things that we call respirators or higher level of masks that have got extractors that are able to filter the air better for you.
The wood processing industries are clear on what employers must do to minimize the risks associated with wood dust. Ghana has enacted laws and regulations aimed to protecting workers. Employers must assess conditions likely to affect the health and safety of the employees or themselves and provide protective equipment. All equipment is required to be regularly inspected and replaced if necessary. It must comply with relevant standards. But in talking to workers at multiple facilities, it is clear that there is little to no enforcement of those laws. The Department of Factories Inspectorate is the main agency responsible for enforcing health and safety in factories, but several studies have found it examines a small fraction of the facilities under its control. At the Kasi community, one company has followed the regulations. Dust emissions from wood processing company Logs and Lumber Limited affect nearby suburbs. But the company has set up filters to control the extraction of dust in the workshop setting. Abedis Jigalian is general manager.
When you are cutting, you will get the sawdust, but we have the extraction fans to accumulate them and burn them in our boilers to get energy for our dryers. So the dust is something that we try as much as possible. I mean, maybe, I don't know, as much as possible to contain. I cannot say 100%, but I mean, when this company was established in 1967, Logs and Lumber. But before Logs and Lumber, there was another company here, Anglo-African Timber. That there was in the neighborhood. I don't think there were so much people living. But today, that all the neighborhood, we have the mall, we have a lot of communities, schools. We are really taking seriously that issue, and we have introduced new filtration systems. We have invested heavily in that.
Avedi says he puts the filtering machines in place at a huge cost after complaints from workers and the surrounding communities, but he says it is worth it to keep his workers healthy. For now, Logs and Lumber Limited workers are some of the few in Ghana working relatively safely. Experts say these protections will need to spread across the industry if Ghana's woodworkers are not to face a growing burden of illness. This story was a collaboration with New Narratives. Funding was provided by the Clean Air Fund, which had no say in the story's content. For Joy News, Mona Lisa Frimpong reporting.
JQ joins us in studio with Showbiz. What do we have?
Well, Carlos, today the budget was read, but what were your expectations in general?
Good. I was actually expecting something on the Akusumo Dam spillage, and I think I got something 220.
Expectations were met,
yeah.
But well, creative arts industry, we had just a bit of it. So you remember yesterday I informed you all about the December in Ghana activities that has been released by the Ghana Tourism Authority today. During the presentation of the 2024 budget, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has revealed that the government will increase investment in CCTVs and logistics for security services as Ghana prepares for December in Ghana's activities. Well, our dirty December is assured. All right, now Nigerian recording artist Victor Adair, popularly known as Victor AD, has hailed Ghana for the massive success of his hit single, Within We Gain, which according to him became popular in Ghana before his home country, narrating how the song became the toast of music lovers and occupied the #1 spot in music charts in Ghana.
It got to a point where it was bigger in Ghana first before Nigeria, definitely. So I got my first big show for the song. I got it here in Ghana first, and then I had.
Which show was that?
Huh?
Which show was that? Which show was that?
I've even forgotten the name of the event.
Was it Ghana Meets Niger?
No, it's not Ghana Meet Niger. That was before Ghana Meet Niger.
Okay.
Yeah, it was organized by some promoters. They actually put that together for me. So the next thing I got to call, Victor Alpha, come to Ghana. I was like, I've not even done things in Nigeria.
You didn't do any promotion in Ghana?
No, I didn't.
You had not done any promotion?
I didn't know anybody here in Ghana.
Wow.
When the song blew up here in Ghana. Yeah.
Well, if you can support Nigerian music, we should be able to support Ghanaian music, because most of the times, most of our artists are complaining about the fact that we don't support them. But he is a testament that we are able to support good music.
All right. Great. Thank you so much, JQ. And that's it for Showbiz. And that's all we have for this particular hour. You can log on to myjoyonline.com for more story. My name is Carlos Caloni. Prime Business is up next with Emma Davis.